There's been so many videos from various influencers on the new Shokz OpenRun Pros that I had to bite the bullet and get them myself to see if they're actually as good as they're being made to be. Whenever there is such a big wave of support to any product, I am getting a little bit wary, because if you remember, quite recently, Insta360 didn't allow any of influencers to mention that most of these videos were sponsored. And that kind of leaked out and left the whole community in a really bad light. And on the back of that, I believe that we should go back to our roots and just say how it is. So I bought these myself. It's not a sponsored video. I just wanted to see if the hype is real. So let's go for a quick run, see how they feel, and I'll explain the cup in a second as well. So even though it bums me out, these are, I would say, much better in terms of the overall audio than the standard bone conducting headphones. No wonder you've got totally different tech used on these, and it works. I wouldn't say they are louder, people are claiming they are. I would say they're clearer, so you can actually hear the words when you're running, as opposed to having a head massage like you normally get with bone conducting headphones. However, this overhyping still applies. They're really good. I think from running headphones, when it comes to sound clarity, these are perfect. I really didn't want to point this out, but it's gonna become very obvious. This is not wearing a helmet when skateboarding. So just before you start making teenage jokes, I mean, I wish, but that's been over 20 years ago. It's freaking terrifying when you think about it. Someone complained about listening to podcasts on these, and I'm not sure why. It might be, again, down to people's personal hearing, but I prefer these for podcasts. My only gripe is that I already got Shokz. Well, I've got a couple of running headphones, and the Shokz Open Swim Pros are just better for me, personally, purely because I got attacked by a bee. Purely because I can swim in them, I can kite surf, I can get in the water. These are IP55 certified. That means if you're gonna get caught out by rain, you should be okay. However, I would not trust them with me on the water. And I don't think Shokz would approve that either. So yeah, when it comes to running headphones, I am really, really surprised. I don't agree that this is like immersive experience in music, because it's not. And unlike Shokz advert that says that this is like concert quality audio, again, come on. If you compare sound quality on these to, say, Bose proper headphones, it's like comparing a 2.0 Skoda Octavia to a Lamborghini, right? They both got wheels, they both will get you where you're going, and they both make noises, especially when you drill the exhaust. But they're not the same thing. I don't think this is gonna work. Seeing if this is they're gonna fit under a full face lid, but well, one way to find our way. From the back. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my ears for this, man. Someone said if you tilt them back here, they somehow fit. Holy shit. Ow. And no, I really like this helmet because you've got little unlocking clips here, two separate bits. So now if you're going half-faced, no problems. I wouldn't ride like this downhill because I've already had a couple of good accidents, but yeah, it works. It also covers my little bump. I should have worn this all the time, but yeah, there you go. So they fit okay. There's still wiggle room here, and there are two different sizes for these. So if you go to particularly small head, you might just size down, or actually the smaller size might fit under your full face lid, but I just wouldn't bet on it. Right, well, that was an entertaining afternoon. What do I think about these versus the old versions, or actually the Open Swim Pros? If you've seen my previous review of these, most of the things I said still apply. I'm gonna link it up somewhere here so you can have a watch. When it comes to fit, the same thing as with every single edition of Shokz or even Sunto Wing. They just fit well. They don't bounce off your ears. You can cycle with these, they won't move and you won't lose them. They just work, right? This is a proven concept that just works. And what I said in the previous video about these not being my primary headphones and not something I would use outside doing sports applies to the OpenRun Pros too. As much as of improvement these have with this mixed tech between bone conduction, it's still nowhere near any of my other headsets, like the Quiet Comfort or even Apple earbuds. There is a massive gap between these when it comes to music quality or even the sound volumes. One of the things I really want to point out, this red thing really annoys me. Anyway, post-edit, right? One thing I really want to point out is that when it comes to loudness, these two headsets are almost identical in Bluetooth mode. If you switch the Swim Pros to MP3 mode, they are much louder. And I somehow missed that when I was doing a review on these. So when you're listening to MP3s, you can hear there's a significant bump in volume levels, which is really cool when you're in the water or you're surfing, kiteboarding. It kind of helps to have that sound a little bit more juicy. One thing I would mention though is that the aim in this game of open ear headsets is not to make the music so loud that you can't hear your surroundings, because the whole idea behind getting one of these pairs is to make sure that when you're running or cycling or doing whatever else it is that you're doing with headphones like this, you can hear what's going on around you. So sound quality aside, are these much better than previous iterations? I mean, the sound quality is better. It's not like miles better than these ones, but you can tell a difference. You can tell that this is clearer and it's more headphone-like as opposed to Shokz-like. If you ever had Shokz headphones, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's this constant vibrations going through your skull when you're running, especially when you put them at a full blast and especially in MP3 mode. Most of us, I think we got used to that, so it wasn't really a big issue for me for years now. But if you found that annoying in the previous editions, these are solving that particular problem. The single greatest thing for me, and I know it might sound silly, but oh my god, we've got a USB-C port just here, which means you can charge these just with a cable that you use for everything else. And just every other manufacturer, just take notes here. Ports matter. When it comes to call quality, it is very similar to my previous experience with Shokz or with Suunto Wing. They're acceptable, absolutely, and that noise cancelling when you're running, it works. It works just as well as on any other decent headset. I think you can find loads of videos on that as well, and I just agree, they do work, and people can hear you clearly on the other side of the call. In terms of the design itself, there haven't been many changes. They've made those buttons on the bottom a little bit more accentuated so you can feel them better. Whether it's in gloves or not, that is a nice touch, because the last thing you really want to do when running is trying to find these buttons. The only thing I'm not really 100% sure about, I like the fact that they're more accentuated, including that little multifunction button on the side of the headphones. But why did you make them smaller? It might be down to the dual pitch tech that they had to put into these. So in terms of sound leakage, I don't know about you, but I really don't like when people are listening in onto music I'm listening to. We all got those tunes that are a little bit cringy, that are connected to some kind of a memory or situation and make sense to us, but we really don't want to share that inside joke with everyone else, so we dial it down when we're driving a car through the busy streets and stuff like that. So these are not too bad, but please don't expect the same kind of a coverage as you would get from normal earbuds or proper headphones. I'll give you a wee demo of how it sounds. I'm sitting about a meter away from the camera just now. There isn't much, is there? So it's not horrible. If you're on the busy street, chances are no one's gonna listen to that anyway. The trouble is, if you're on a busy street, these will not drown out the sounds. And there are obviously different equalizer modes, as you can see here, but switching between these doesn't make the music any louder. You can feel there's actual difference between the standard mode and vocals or boosting the bass, although there is not much bass to begin with, and that doesn't make much of a difference. I know this is silly, but them doing this magnetic thing, it's pretty neat. It's just satisfying. Now, battery life is always the bit of a sticking point Because companies, when they advertise products, they kind of assume that you're going to be listening to these at 60% volume, but at 60% you can't hear shit. Like anything below, say 60, 50% is just unusable unless you're in a quiet room, but you don't normally run in a quiet room. You take them to the gym, you take them running outside, you really want to listen to the music, not just be aware of what's going on. So there's zero chance of me using these at less than 100%, whereas, as I mentioned with the Open Swim Pros, you can dial it down on MP3 mode because they're actually pretty loud. So at 100%, I think the best I got would be guesstimating around maybe 9 hours. So looking at the amount of running I did, after an hour it dropped about 20 to 25%, and it's never been consistent. So I did this a few times from 100%, see how fast they drain. So it might be a battery memory situation here, but there's zero chance of them making to 12 hours. But guys, to be fair, even 9 hours, unless you run some crazy ultra marathons, you're not gonna juice them out so quickly. So there's two questions here. Are these worth the price, and whether you should upgrade from the headphones you've got right now? This is a little bit more nuanced, because if you've got the first edition of Shokz and the music quality is good enough for you and you don't mind those vibrations, I think you're fine. These are really nice incremental upgrade. It's not a revolution, it's more of an evolution, and you can clearly tell that these give you clearer sound, but they're not louder. If you don't have any running headphones, or you bought something very cheap just to test the theory to see how often you'll be actually using headphones in that kind of technology, then yeah, these are really good. These are currently at the same price point as the previous OpenRun Pros were, which is I think $169. I will link the deal below, because even though this is not sponsored, any clicks to Amazon will always help me out to run this channel and actually keep buying these things. If you, however, do triathlons, or you get in the water quite often, or you go paddleboarding and you come off your board from time to time, which happens to the best of us, I think the Open Swim Pros might be a better solution here. If you're on the road all the time, I do really like the center wings. I know it's gimmicky, but those lights at the back kind of give me extra reassurance. I had so many close calls with cars when running and cycling. It feels sometimes like it is a competition of how close can you get to a person without clipping them with a mirror. But when it comes to music quality for open headsets that actually sit on your ears and they're nice and secure, I think the Shokz OpenRun 2s Pros 2s are the way to go. Normally I'm not jumping on the hype trains, but well done Shokz, that's a hell of a job. And as always, if you have any questions, drop them below. I'll do my best to reply, and if these will develop any faults or I find any issues with them down the line, I will make an update video, because I really don't want you to spend money on something that's just not up to our expectations. Have a good one, enjoy being outdoors, and I'll see you next one.